this meeting to order. If you have not silenced your cell phone, please do. And would everybody join in for our Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Lisa, would you please call the roll?
Sure. Darcy Kaplan.
Here.
Angela Brown.
Here.
Jenny Slopes.
Here.
Jasper DeGrismer.
Here.
Sarah Shields.
Here.
Keith Goshak. Jerry Valentine.
I will not read the adopted policy since we do not have any audience members. Lisa, can you verify that this meeting was advertised?
Yes. October 29th, 2025 on the Township website and Facebook page.
We have before us some meeting minutes from September 23rd, our last meeting. I have to accept a motion to approve those meeting minutes.
Motion to approve BZC meeting minutes from September 23rd, 2025.
That's not correct.
Was it not correct?
Wouldn't it be October?
Oh, yes, I said September, that's not right. Okay, cut and paste, correct again.
That was the 23rd, right?
I'm checking my calendar.
It's October 28th.
October 28th. Make a motion to approve BZC meeting minutes from October 28th, 2025.
I'll second.
Mr. DeGrismer.
Yes.
Ms. Kaplan.
Yes.
Ms. Slopes.
Yes.
Ms. Brown.
Yes.
And Ms. Shields.
Yes.
So tonight we have before us an application BZC 25-004 Hill Family Enterprises Limited, which is an application for a zoning map amendment filed by the Hill Family Enterprises, P.O. Box 302, Sunbury, Ohio 43074. Applicant is submitting to rezone 10.28 acres from neighborhood commercial district to planned commercial district. There are 5 parcels, and I'm not going to read those numbers. Located at 320 South 3 Basin K Road, Galena 43021. So, welcome our applicant to fill us in, please.
Absolutely. Wasn't sure exactly what the staff presentation would be, so happy to walk through some of the documents. If that's helpful, also have a couple of visuals to share. Generally, we share this on a audio visual, so if you don't mind sharing. We can flip through a little bit about Rise Commercial District. So I'm with Ryland Engineering. We would be the general contractor, and we work directly with Rise. And so we like to give an overview of the project and also the product in general. There's about 14 different Rise sites throughout the Midwest. And so if you we'll go to the first page.
Sir, did you give your name and address yet?
Name and address? Yeah, Zach Rodenbarger. 5645 Castle Creek Parkway, Indianapolis, Indiana.
And what's the name of the street? I'm sorry.
Castle Creek Parkway.
Castle Creek.
Yes, Castle.
You said 520. I'm sorry, 525.
5645.
Okay, Castle Creek Parkway, Indianapolis.
Indianapolis 46250. Thanks. So you can see a little bit of our facilities is what you'll see on some of these slides, as well as the fact that Rise has been in operations for 15 years, small bay warehouse and office developer. If you flip to the next page, each site has about 100 unique businesses in those sites. And so again, this is an overview of one of our sites, and you can see from the front some of the office glass storefronts, back more towards the garage and warehouse space. And so the next slide you'll see is 1514 with the garage warehouse bay. We support connected employees of about 450 connected employees through those 100 to 125 unique businesses. Flipping through, we have quite a few shared amenities, so you can kind of think of the RISE project as a mix between co-working and co-warehousing, a multi-tenant, and so that's where you have those 100 different unique businesses. We have a full-time on-site manager on the next page. So every site has a full-time Monday through Friday on-site manager that can support those 100 to 150 unique businesses. Next slide, we have parking out front in front of the gate. And when we say in front of the gate, because behind the gate is secured, and so we do have those automatic gates that rise and lower with your key fobs if you go to the next page. And that's the 24/7 secured gated entry. Continuing on, we have a community kitchen in the office spaces. And this is more, again, up front towards those glass storefronts. In the back is more of the garage bays and warehouse that you saw. Continuing forward. So each tenant has access to a forklift, and that is to help with their, obviously, warehouse facilities, unloading from trucks and transferring those to their warehouse. Obviously, they need to be trained as well. So continuing on, we do have a shared conference room as well. Very helpful for, again, growing your business. If you've got 1 employee, 5 employees, you have someone in, you can have that conference room at your disposal. Moving through, some of the spaces, we think it's helpful to show, how a tenant could build out their warehouse space. And so if you look, there's the garage. You kind of can come in and you could have a mini office back there. A lot of this is helpful for e-commerce as well as different trades and people with their own individual vehicles, getting those off the streets, things like that. Continuing on, we have a hallway. Many business owners utilize our facilities, again, those 100 to 150 different tenants, as a stepping stone. And so when you see them come in, maybe they have been running it out of their house. Maybe they looked at self-storage. Now they're looking for a little something more substantial, but they're not ready for a 3 to 5 year lease. If any of you have tried to commit to 5 years and knowing if your business is going to stay the same size or grow, it's very challenging. And so we have that flexibility to help either month to month or year over year, where they can move up, move down, or continue in the same spot. What we see that lead to is many tenants graduate and then they stay in the community. Once they have stabilized those cash flows, once they have more recurring business, then they can commit to that 3 to 5 year lease, or they can build their own facility, own the real estate. And so we are a really helpful stepping stone in that sense. And so we see that as encouraging small business and entrepreneurs into the area, giving them that support. Again, there's that full-time manager on site. We help them with internet and also setting up a website if they need different things like that maybe you don't know when you start your own business. And we've seen the studies that show that a strong rental community leads to a strong owner community. This is similar with apartment communities. We're not an apartment community, but similar idea that you have a stronger apartment community, you have a stronger people buy in, and they move in and stay in the community from those apartments. They live and work there. So we have quite a few site locations throughout the Midwest. If you see on the current site locations map, from Minnesota over to around Cleveland, and then over from St. Louis, and we started in the Indianapolis area. And so here we're talking about our proposed site in Galena off 3Bs and K Road, and that is right next to the current self-storage with the Hill family. That is the current street view. Although it might be a little bit old, the road is now paved, freshly paved along there. Continuing on, our proposed site layout. You'll see the 15 and 16 at the front those two, I have a rendering here as well that will help bring the visuals together. But those would be the glass storefronts where it's more the office style. The 41 on the west or coming left to right through 51, those are the garage warehouse bays where you would see people with more inventory and trucks being able to pull through those. And so our entrance is in that northeast corner there of the site, off 3Bs and K. There is an easement for the high volt electrical towers to the north. And we can break down each of these facilities and sizing it a little bit more as we go through. Going to the next page. This is kind of our wrap up, and then we can bring up a couple of the images as well. But basically, we do see that the Rise brand is a partner in that community building as it becomes. So the packet also, as I was chatting through, I have included a few additional pieces of information that were missing originally. And so part of that is our signage. And so that would be our monument sign that we would include out by the road, by the entrance. Flipping through, you'll see a small rendering. I also have a big one of what that storefront would look like here. Again, facing north, those buildings 15 and 16. And so this is where someone could have a storefront versus, and actually have customers come to the storefront versus the back is more the warehouse, the garage space. And then I believe the next one is our lighting specifications. And then the last pages you should have is the development text that was sent over, but maybe a little bit later than what you all have seen. I did bring an extra civil set. I'm not sure if Brandon Connolly with the fire department had asked for a set, and I wasn't sure he had gotten one or not. So I brought an extra set for him. So, yeah, thank you. I think part of the staff report obviously is the rezone and from the NCD to the PCD, and so happy to hear any questions that I can kind of clarify along the way.
Anybody want to start?
I guess so, Sarah, you want to start on
So I think I did see the letter from the fire department stating that they needed updated plans. Was there an update from them?
I did talk to the chief, and he mentioned that he did see it and didn't have any, there weren't any glaring concerns from the fire department in terms of, like, on paper in that way, but I know that we told the fire department to get an extra copy, but we haven't seen a written report from them yet.
Okay. Yeah, so as long as you said look good so far, I will be able to get a better feel when I see the full set. Just make sure we're on Township zoning and so we're good on there. So I did know if there was an update past that from the fire department.
He had mentioned that he didn't get a set, and he wasn't able to see anything electronically, and so I did bring a set. But from my understanding, that set would have been passed on to him from Berlin Township when we originally submitted, but maybe I missed something or they missed something, so I'm not sure how he didn't get the set. And so I brought another set, and that would be why.
We have since given him a set, but not enough to get that update, apparently, in writing. There's some confusion with that, but I know that they can pick that up.
And then in regards to the development text, basically I'm not comfortable with that. It says examples of the uses shall be, and then examples of uses that would be permitted. So I don't feel like that's a comprehensive list of the uses, and I know that can get, kind of wishy-washy when we have, tenants come in that aren't, and even based on the recommendations by regional planning, said that making sure that we have a very set list of what is gonna be allowed and not allowed throughout the district.
Sure, I think that list, if we want to just say those are the only uses allowed, I think we would feel comfortable with that. And if there was anything outside of that in the future, we would, would maybe come and ask for that variance, or, hey, does this fall within one of those sets? So I think we're comfortable with that list, and maybe changing the wording from examples to, if you want it to be exhaustive. Yeah, it would be approved list. We would be comfortable with that. We do, see the fringe cases, and so yeah, we are more than happy to come and ask at that time if there's something we think falls outside of that, versus trying to turn away a tenant that maybe falls within the PCD district.
And then as far as the sanitary, I know we got on Friday, the late email with the letter stating that there is sanitary, but it talked about sufficiency of the sanitary, and how it needed to, they need to enlarge the piping size, the sewer piping size to 18, in order to do that. Is that shown anywhere on the plans? Because I just saw it marked where the sewer lines were. And,
Sure. Yeah, I think, and maybe there's two things there, but one is an extension, and so we are putting in that extension. It is marked from the Hills property to the north and through kind of under the high volt easement to our parcel in question. But I believe the note also said they do have capacity and in that area, that there's no issues with their capacity. It's more that our extension to get to them.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, we just got it by email. I had some stuff pulled up on my iPad.
Sure.
So it was just a glancing, but just wanted to make sure that we covered, that was in there. And then on number 13, under developmental tech. It's the environmentally sensitive areas.
13 is building. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, that's what I was looking
The
at.
latest?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, so on the previous, it was.
Maybe one lower, maybe it was 14 now on the new one.
Yeah, building design, it just says, on what we received on Friday, it said that the project architect will work to comply with this standard. And so it kind of, this is supposed to be a full developmental plan a final development plan for the rezone, and so it kind of is like, the project architect will work to comply with the standard, and that doesn't seem to fit what we require as far as, and again, we just got this.
Absolutely, yeah, that's on us, that's on us.
I can't speak to a lot of these things that we're receiving, right now, but I just kind of wanted to point that out, that it should be a final development plan.
Sure.
For that. And then I couldn't find really where, I know that there's the fencing in the front of it, but I couldn't really see where the fencing was around the outside to protect. Obviously I know you would drive through the gate and open it, but is there a barrier around the whole area of fencing?
There is fencing, when you say the whole area.
Like the whole project site, because you're saying it's secure with fencing, and I didn't see a fence around.
There is fencing on the west, south, and east. And then on the north, where you would drive into the parking lot, you would have that gate behind 15 and 16, and so, I can-
Like I see some chain link fences, I guess, but I don't know, it just did, some of the drawings were confusing as far as,
Okay.
and then like, looking at some of the pictures you provided, it doesn't look like, that maybe, and obviously I can't see, but maybe there isn't fencing, so I just wanted to be
Yeah,
clear, there's fencing.
we do have fencing, and the idea being, and again, this is a small one, but the idea being this parking lot up here, anyone can pull into. Between this exit and entrance on 15 and 16, that's where the gate would lift and lower. And then the rest of the facility would be fenced in with kind of that secure, nobody else can access except through these two gates.
So what type of fencing is that? Because it looks like on, like L, or on C4, what's C17? It looks like there's a chain link fence that's kind of around this parking spot in the warehouse building. But if we're talking, there's another fence that's lining the whole property for privacy, because
Mhm.
when we get into landscaping and the boundaries and things like that, we wanna make sure that we meet those requirements as well.
Yeah, and does the township have specific requirements for that outside fencing? I want to make sure that I have the right fencing and our team does have the right.
Just in regards to landscaping, because it's kind of a buffer zone for when you're, so that south side is, I believe PID, so that's considered industrial, so it should have that 6-foot continuous high mound, hedges, like privacy fencing. And I realize that a lot of this, like going south even further on down the road, 2046, I think it said, understanding that a lot of these buffer zones may not seem to matter right now because they, it's PCD on the north, same type of warehousing.
Mm-hmm.
On the south side, there is a current residential, and I believe even past that is residential. So just kind of figuring out where that buffer zone is needed.
Sure. Yeah, that's something I think, we're happy to make sure is included. Something we were interested in because you're right, is the PID zoning, and then Sunbury Parkway is coming through along that PID parcel, right? And so you'll have the parkway through there, the PID zoning, and then this parcel that we're speaking, or these 5 parcels that we're speaking about tonight. But yeah, we're more than happy to review and make sure that is the correct fencing, or a condition of this.
And basically, it's not only just, 'cause it seems like the fencing is around just the parking lot, not around or the parking areas on the south side. And so, needing to create a buffer zone or a border of that hedge continuous planting or the fencing as part of the buffer zone between the two parcels in district.
Okay. And yeah, I'll take a second look and make sure that between the PID zoning and that would be the zoning versus the current land use of residential, right? That you would expect the buffer to follow.
Yes, if you look at in
PID to
26,
PCD.
in our zoning resolution in 26,
Mhm.
it says, like, if you're this
Yep.
zone next to this zone, and so it would technically be next to industrial.
PID to PCD.
So making sure that there's, and again, I know there's a plan to go further south, I believe, but I'm just not sure, when that is, or we should probably buffer that for now.
Yes, agreed. Yes, we are looking at going further south, but yes.
And then, so I read in the regional planning notes, it asked if there was gonna be semi-trucks coming in, and it was stated that there wasn't, it would be more box trucks. But then, right here,
Sure.
there's a big semi-truck right in the middle of the picture.
Sure.
So just how are we
Yeah,
establishing that that's not?
I think maybe there was, and maybe the question was different than maybe I understood, but I would say 80% of the traffic is cars, normal, size, or vans or smaller. maybe 19% would be box trucks, FedEx trucks, maybe trucks with trailers, and then every once in a while the 1% or less is the semi-truck. And so whether the question was, do you normally have, or always, or ever, maybe I missed whether it was normal, always, or ever. And so it is occasional to have a large truck or a semi-truck, but it is rare. And so, like I said, maybe it's 1% or less.
It is, so I guess if, let's see if I can find anything else on that. Mrs. Dreyer asked if units were built out or contended does that if large trucks could get into the site. You stated that Rise would build out the buildings, as for spacing, the types of vehicles that come in and out of the area are more pickup and box trucks, not semis.
And sure,
So can this handle semi-trucks?
this can handle semi-trucks.
Okay.
And apologize if that was misconstrued, that there are never versus, 99% of the traffic is not semi-truck. So that is, I do want to clarify and apologize if that was misconstrued.
Okay, I just wanted to double check on those things, but that's all I have for right now.
I can go. So I guess some of my questions were, answered, because I was definitely gonna ask about, lighting, which I think that having it in this it's not stated anywhere in the text. You have pictures of some lighting in here, but it's not, you talk about, that you're complying with the standard, but you don't talk about, like, for example, the signage, the proposed plan complies with the standard, but it's not talking about, what you're gonna use for the entry sign in your text.
Mm-hmm.
I know you are complying with it, looking at the images in here, but I would like to see it in the text, what the dimensions of the sign are, whether you're gonna have the sign, you're gonna use lighting in the sign, we would only want down lighting. And then the lighting that you're using, I know, looks like it is going to be down lighting and so forth, but we would want it to be in the text,
Yeah.
what lighting, specifically, what specific lighting you are going to be using in the lumens or whatever language we have to use. I'm probably not going to use the right terminology, but that needs to be in the text so that, if there's a compliance issue, we can point to what you're actually saying.
Okay.
Let's see. I was also going to ask about, mounting. I think it was in the regional planning, trustee Rail had asked about the doing some additional, shoring up the buffering, and I think, I've addressed it a little bit, but doing some additional buffering along the south side to protect the residential area to the south. So are you doing any mounting? I know we talk about fencing,
Sure.
You're doing mounting as well.
That is something that we can do on the south side there.
So that will need to be in the text as well,
Okay.
what specifically you're doing there. And the open space, I know you said you're complying with that, like how, and in the regional planning, you talked about that more specifically than you did in the text. So you said you exceeded it by 25.99. I see that you did do, retention pond. I don't really know if you did anything else with the open space other than just kind of looking at it here, so. So you also want that in the text?
Okay.
I think those are the questions that I had, or the comments, I guess.
So with, sorry, tell me when you're ready. All right.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
So going off of what Tara and Jenny just said,
we, having all of those pieces, that's always part of our development test and having them detailed out, like dimensions.
Okay.
With actual examples, so this is great. You could literally take this and slide it into the right spot, you know, as an appendix item or whatever. Making sure that we have very clear landscape plans, so that includes what kind of trees you're going to have, or on whether it be on top of the mounting or whether it be along the front in the actual parking lot that you have along the road, anything like that. The specific type of fence and exact areas and dimensions that that's going to go into. I think you had called it out, but I don't remember right now. Your back within the warehouses, that's going to be crushed stone, right? Or is that going to be paved?
That'll be paved.
That'll
You
be
mean the
paved.
drive lanes? Or when
So
you're
yes,
saying,
in front of the
or the landscape?
in front of the individual, more warehouse units.
Yeah, that will be paved.
Okay, that'll be paved as well, all right. So making sure that that's really clearly called out. Let me see, maybe
Kind of
that's
the warehouse
okay.
drive lanes called out that they are
Yeah.
paved.
Yeah, and then, and I think this is something I'm still confused about, even though we just kind of went through it. So, all of the examples that you gave on the front for, unless there's a mini warehouse as an office space. So, this is up front, right? This is what would be those upfront storefront type of.
Are you asking what's in the
Yeah.
storefront,
Yes.
less of the warehouse and the office?
Yes.
Okay.
So, what would be in the back units and all those units in the back that are more of the garage door opening?
I guess that would be a
What
similar
types of
lessers
units?
of mini warehouse, right?
Okay.
So that would be
are these-
similar.
Are they businesses or are they for individual, like personal use?
Each space is only for a business.
Okay,
So there is no what we call retail or self storage.
self-storage,
There is
okay.
not. There is no self storage.
Okay,
You have to have an LLC or a C corporation or a business to
okay,
rent from us.
to be renting from there.
Mhm.
Okay, so we're not going to have just individual patrons.
That's
Okay.
that's correct.
Going through those gates.
That's
in the
correct.
back. Okay, because that will definitely, so with that, then that leads to my next question. So something we also require to be called out is when they are businesses, we need to ensure that there's enough parking spaces.
Mm-hmm.
So that needs to be very clearly detailed out in your development text, of how many parking spaces you have for, and it's depending on the size of the building that they're in. It's like,
Okay.
what is it?
I think was there 118 units or 118 stalls?
I know that,
And you want it
unless
broken
I'm wrong,
down?
that will be the front businesses, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't mean that you have to have parking spaces out front for all of the units in the back that you will drive into. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Okay.
in general, a lot of times we see, 0.5 parking spaces per square foot of warehouse or per 1,000 square feet of warehouse, and then like maybe two stalls per square foot, 1,000 square feet of retail or office.
I just, where'd it go? Oh, right here, okay. So, one space per 365 gross square feet is the maximum. The minimum is one space, for a minimum, one space per 600 gross square feet.
Okay, and that is in your 1 per 365 versus 1 per 600. What those differences are?
The maximum number of required parking spaces is one per 365. The minimum is 1 per 600.
And that is for office or for retail or for?
Yes. That is for from what I can tell, it just says all other uses.
Okay, and I can take a look and
And
confirm.
maybe, Kelsey, maybe you can kind of go through that with them too, to make sure that we're saying that correctly. So I'm not quoting anything incorrectly. That also has,
Do that calculation to lay it out for.
yeah, to make sure. And then, what the signs, what your, requirement will be for signs and how they will be hung in front of the spaces, because your example was great where it says like Rise salons. But obviously everyone will have their own signs in front of their quote unquote storefronts, right?
It depends.
How does that work?
It depends on each site and the underlying zoning, and so we can confirm that on this as well. But especially the garage bays, we generally don't put signs out in the back.
I'm more thinking,
and so
yeah, I'm more
you're
thinking
more in
about
the front.
Yeah.
Yeah, that also depends. You know, they can have it maybe in the window, but not necessarily over the top. It wouldn't be like a commercial strip center or a commercial shopping center in the same way always, because you see a little bit more turnover too with our shorter lease terms. So we generally don't put them up top or anything like that. It'll be more in the doors or windows. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Try to be clearly delineate that.
Yeah,
That
just,
is like what you're going to do. If
Exactly.
It's going to be on the windows, and that's the only, or maybe X number out of this many, we'll have it above.
yeah.
Like the salon, you know, if there's a group of salon tenants, you know.
But that way it's detailed out as to what they can have.
Okay.
We talked about the type of fence all the way around. And then in the actual text, let me see where it said it. I thought it was.
I marked it here from what was different from what we received on Friday.
Okay. We want to actually see the materials should be listed out, so it looks like they're more, the front buildings. And some of the pictures have like stucco and stone.
Yeah, I do have the materials now, but can include that. And I think in the new development text today, it should be in there as well. But we do have some renderings of that and can include.
And especially because the south side that faces through DJK would be the back where.
The
The
east
east
side.
side would be these longer buildings over here, would be the back one.
Yes, yes.
So I don't think you have these elevations, is that correct?
No, we don't.
Okay. So this I will include, and these are included, you know, the primary materials of brick, large format, stone veneer, fiber cement board. And so we can include these elevations in the development text.
Okay.
Obviously, I brought them here, but they were not included, and so.
Okay. Yeah, and they can be on like regular paper.
I don't know why.
Or at the largest,
You don't need
11.
I just brought one set in case.
Yeah, we never need this size ever again.
I don't know why our code says that. but-
Yeah.
It's for fire, because fire is like, they want.
Fire does
they want the
need,
big
yeah.
guys, like,
They
need
like
the
great for
one
fire.
set. Yeah, we need one, if
Yeah,
they want.
maybe
if they
2
put that-
sets maximum,
Yeah.
not more than 2 sets though. For us, the largest would be 11 by 17, and really if you have it on 8.5 by, what is it, 14? 8.5 by 14, I think. Is that,
Like a standard?
like legal, like a
Oh, legal,
sheet
okay, yeah.
is at where
So
it
it
gets
goes into
folded
binder.
in, yeah, you have a couple of those in here. That's the largest that would be. Now, sometimes in order to get a true, you know, view of it, you might have to zoom in on certain areas, right? So there might have to be multiple of the same thing, but like zoomed in. So a great
Like it
example
was
of
with the
that.
landscaping where they
Yes.
pieced it off and.
Yes, Yeah, so where you wanna show like the corner is going to have certain shrubs, and it's going to be you know, there's gonna be a curb on it, and that, you can zoom in on that
Okay.
within the landscape. And then also just making sure that when these come back over, that it's detailed, all of those additional warehouses that will be warehousing sites that are gonna be in the back, the counts of how many of each type that there are. Does that make sense? So like.
Number of units per
The
building?
number of units per building is great, but then also how it's broken up, because it looked like you had a couple different sizes. So that you'll have certain ones that are smaller, certain ones that are larger. Sorry, I'll go back to this big drawing.
So we have 8 buildings overall, and then
Yes.
within each of those buildings, there are units within each. And so
Yes.
just to clarify, the unit count versus the unit size?
So it looks like some of them, why did I think in one of the pictures it had a bunch of really small ones? Am I not in them?
Well, I think
No.
up here, these are pretty small back there.
Oh, but that's the storefront, okay.
Yeah, well, they're the back of the storefront though.
Back of the storefront.
We're very clumsy with these.
No, it's because the papers are too big.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
It's alright. It's great.
Um,
Try to look underneath them.
Thanks to the big plane. Okay, Darcy just said it right. This, it's the back of the storefronts. Like you have storefronts in here, and you have individual offices as well within the storefront. And then some have the backs of the storefronts have
Okay. Yes, good question.
individual.
And so I can explain that now, and I will also do it in the future, but would you like me to kind of explain what's going on now?
Yes.
Okay, so these in building 16, which is on the right side of your page, these are individual storefronts with a connected garage entrance. And so a lot of tenants like that because they have kind of the spot where customers can come in the front, but then in the back, they have a door that's separated to all of their inventory or their warehouse. And so there is a garage door on these back sides.
Okay.
And this is for the kind of glass storefront.
Okay.
Over here, we have more of the co-working model,
Yep.
where you have your own individual office, no warehouse, no garage door.
Okay.
And so that is your own individual office, anywhere from maybe 100, 150 square feet to 200 square feet,
Okay.
where just any one of us could rent an office and go in with our business and our computer. But we don't have a truck we need or don't have inventory.
Okay.
And so that's where you see that. Additionally, some of those are where our salons do really well. And so you have your own individual sink, and you can run your, whether you're a barber or a salon or stylist or anything like that.
Okay.
And so those are more for that in this middle section of building 15. And then going over, you'll see probably more of the same.
Yes, so that's, you have the same.
Yeah.
As what's in building 16 over on the other
Yeah.
side. Okay. So then, in some of these other buildings, so like 81 and 82 look very similar, but 51 is different. You have larger units here. You have larger units in 83H. It's a little bit different from building 61. So that's where I'm saying if you could detail out like the different sizes that you have, how many units are in each building.
How many units in those sizes?
Yeah, square footage or something.
Yeah.
It's hard to gauge the sizes.
Sure, yeah.
It really is. So.
Yeah.
To understand.
Kind of like a apartment complex, the unit mix, and how many 3 bedrooms, how many 2?
Right, yeah, that way it just, it shows how many units are really in there. This is gonna sound silly, but what does DID stand for?
I'm not
On the
sure.
I
drives?
had that question too.
Drive-in door?
Drive-in, maybe, drive-in door?
It could be something else, but yeah, it could be that. I actually don't know. That's a
It says
good.
overhead door, 2% max slope within drive, right here. Is the key.
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
the key.
And then will there be lighting?
Maybe it's not an acronym. Go ahead, sorry.
Will there be lighting, above every, like for security purposes, will there be lighting above every garage door?
Yeah, every garage door or in between, or you know, there will be sufficient lighting, but
Okay,
I'm not sure that it's above every one or if it's in between.
okay, but there's sufficient lighting, and then,
And it,
Detail that out.
yeah, detail that out. And I don't think you probably have any lamp posts back in there, right?
we don't, no.
Okay, especially because of the trucks. Okay,
So there is no lighting where the parking, like at the end of the warehouse space, there's no.
That's correct. There's no lamp posts. It's all on the buildings down lighting. But those buildings are 20 to 25 feet tall. And so it does have decent.
okay. Alright. I think that's it for right now.
So I'm still trying to wrap my brain in some ways around how this works. So here's my curious question. The way the buildings are numbered, got 16, 15, 51, 81, 82, 83, 61. Tell me about that.
That was decided before I came to the team. Those are our standard building footprints. So with the 14 or 15 other sites that we have, that has kind of been our way to tell which building houses which type of units.
Okay.
And so the 15 and the 16s, those are in the teens, those are the storefronts and have the interior offices. The 80s, on the other hand, those have some of the drive-throughs where you can actually have garage doors on both sides, drive your truck through so you don't have to back out. And so you drive straight through. And so some of those units that you were talking about where they didn't have it didn't look like they had a middle line, those are drive-through all the way. And so those are some of the 80 units. And that's where the 51 and the 41 on the sides, those only have one side of garage doors. And the others have garage doors on both sides.
I'm so curious.
And so
I don't understand.
I think it was probably simplistic in, okay, now we're going to go to a new series of 10s, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, all the way up to 80s, because they're a different style of building.
Okay, that makes some sense. So co-warehousing, just describe that for me. I saw that phrase a few times in the text and I'm not clear what that means.
Instead of self-storage where it's a bunch of individuals, co-warehousing moves toward a little bit bigger unit and also only for businesses. And so where you have co-working and only for businesses really that are renting out an office space, I think that's where you have this co-warehousing, multiple businesses using the same warehouse facility instead of one large warehouse, one tenant in it. And so we have maybe 100 tenants, kind of like that apartment building that has 100 people. We have 100 tenants versus some of the ones you see along the highways that just have one tenant or Amazon goes in it, and that's a single tenant, and so it wouldn't be a co-warehousing where multiple businesses come under the same roof.
Gotcha. So I'm looking at this, I guess it's sheet C4, and it does discuss parking, required car parking, professional office, it says 1 per 300 square feet, that's sort of in alignment with our stuff. Warehouse, 0.66 per employee, but there's no way, I don't think, to know how many employees, or am I missing something?
No, not fully. There isn't a way.
Okay.
We kind of have those averages and whether you have a couple employees per business, or between 2 and 6, something like this.
Okay. And then it does say self-storage, 1 per employee. So you said there's no self-storage.
There is not any retail or individual business self-storage, and so it just depends on kind of how people classify it within their code of.
All So for the pond, is that a retention pond or a detention pond? It might have been on here, but I missed it.
Believe it, I don't know that it flows into anything else, or is
It
it
just says
slowly
proposed
releasing?
pond.
Yeah, I believe it's just a capture, I don't think it's releasing into, I know there's the water, a parcel or two south, but we're not connected to that. And I don't,
So it will hold water all the time?
yes.
Okay. So it's in our text, but it's not in your text about, usually per a certain number of square feet, we would kite fountains to help keep the water flowing well. And I didn't see anything like that. Typically, we do also require on the outflows that they are sort of decorative, usually like a pressed stone or a stone facing, something like that.
Okay.
Green space, it says 20%. So I'm sure you're counting the pond in that, but where else? Is there any outdoor usable
I wouldn't say there's
space?
much outdoor usable space. The buffering and all the way around would be included in that calculation.
Okay.
But less, and some of the islands in the parking lot and things like that, but I wouldn't say there's as much usable green space overall for the warehouse development.
I don't think I saw any islands in the parking space. Maybe out front. Yeah.
And there wouldn't be too many trees up there because of the high volt easement, and so
Okay,
that's one thing that limited by a little bit on the northern edge of the property.
And part of our language discusses a green belt kind of surrounding. I didn't see anything like that. Where did my book out? 17 feet. While we're looking for that, I didn't see building dimensions anywhere, like how long they are, how wide they are.
That is in the updated development text.
Okay, we'd love to see that.
Yeah, that is, I agree, that is in the updated development text, that should be on the,
One other thing we usually see, Kelsey, you might know about this, is we usually see, in the booklets we receive who the adjoining property owners are and that they've been notified.
It is right away in the middle of that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It does
Is it
go
in the
from
middle of
like
the traffic circle?
water
Just- I
to
didn't see
electric
it.
to water again, or like adjacent, like
Yeah, it is.
utilities
Okay.
all mixed with that same.
Yeah.
I'll be sure to, I'll make note of that.
So you mentioned the heights on these are typically 20 to 25, and it does say I'll comply with our restriction, no more than 35.
yes, that's right.
Um,
That is included in the update as well.
Okay. Did you find the green belt?
No, I think it might
I
be.
think it's the next page, or I should have marked it. Green belt, a 15-foot wide green belt shall be provided between the edge of any parking area and the adjacent public street right-of-way and landscaped. I don't know that we have public street right-of-way. I guess my question, I'm trying to envision how this all works, because this is kind of a new concept. So these outbuildings, 51, 81, 82, 83, 61. So it's sort of anticipated that people are working in there will drive, they're not parking out front and walking back?
That's correct.
Okay. And are those buildings heated and have plumbing? Or do
They-
they walk back front to use a restroom or something?
They are heated. Not every one of them has plumbing. And so they would have maybe two, I believe in the red, in the packet, there's one or two restrooms in the back that would be on an exterior
Okay.
of one of those buildings. I don't have it off the top of my head which ones those are, but the red diagram, I think, in the packet does have that.
Okay. Yeah, just like I said, trying to sort of wrap my brain around how this all operates. It's
Yeah, and
kind
so
of a
they
new
would
concept,
drive
but-
behind. Yeah, there is 83H has this restroom facility, and then they do have restroom facilities inside 15 and 16.
I'm not applying, but I didn't see that that's what that was. Okay. Okay, yeah, I just kind of wondered, but there's not per se sidewalks surrounding this or anything like that?
There wouldn't be no, not around the outside nor within, because most people aren't walking through or something like that.
Okay.
These are drive lanes
Okay.
for trucks, vans, work vans, things like this. There is a little bit of parking at the end of each drive lane for interior parking.
But people can actually pull their vehicle into their warehouse if they want
That's
to?
right. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Is that what you typically see happen?
Yeah, you
From
see,
your other one- from
you
your
see
other
that, or if,
locations?
you see a lot of people come for a shorter time as well. Not everyone's there every day, so sometimes they'll park outside in front of their garage. The drive lanes are 60 feet wide, and so there's
Okay.
room to park in front.
Okay.
If you have a vehicle, van, something like this, load up, leave. It's, you know, and then we have that on-site full-time manager that would say, hey, you've been outside your unit, you know, for 24 hours, you know, someone needs to pull through. And so
Okay.
that kind of helps that as well, if anyone's staying outside there in the way or anything like that. But
Sorry, Darcy. The person that's on site, is there someone on site 24 hours a day, 7 days a week?
more business hours, Monday to Friday.
Okay.
But we do have cameras at all of our sites, if you know, to make sure you know someone's checking in on that. But no, normally it's just Monday through Friday,
Okay.
kind of during the work hours.
Okay.
Well, that's all for me.
Or if someone's expecting a delivery, you know, they can schedule that and say, hey, would you help be there? Or I can't be there, can you be there? And our manager would be there for them.
Okay.
And that's something that actually a lot of tradespeople love because they're out at the job site. They don't want to have to wait for a delivery. And that's, you know, waiting for a delivery is time and money. And so they get to continue to do that out at the job site versus being back waiting for a delivery or something like that.
So I do, can I jump in? I want to clarify that, so if there was a semi-truck coming in, are they able to turn into the parking lot area and then turn into the gate and around again? Like, is there enough turn radius and space for a semi to be able to do that?
There is, and there should
It's
be.
like it's almost like
Right.
a right angle at the 14-foot gate.
I will confirm on this site, and that's where you're right. We did have a semi in the picture. It's very rare to see that, but all of our sites are expected to have that capability. But that is something we can confirm 100% with our engineers. But at the same time, that is something that's expected.
Because I see the pavement is heavy duty,
Mhm.
pavement. So it would
Yeah, it's expected a lot of traffic and heavy trucks.
hold it, but just making
Right.
sure that those turn radiuses.
And trucks with trailer, they do look smaller. I mean, the 60-foot, wide drive lanes are pretty substantial, but it does look smaller when you
Well, and
shrink it all down.
maybe if you are expecting semis, like, those parking spots might not work where they are, because I can just see, like, the semis wanting to,
Yeah.
like, kind
They
of turn
wouldn't,
into the
I was gonna say,
parking
they wouldn't be
spaces
able to access, I mean, I'm not sure, but like, thinking if these bays on the south, or the buildings on the south side, it would just be a entrance into those bays. And then if you stopped at the front entrance, would you be blocking because they can't turn around?
Sure, and whether they pull in and back down or different things like that. Yeah, you wouldn't do a U-turn at the bottom of the drive.
Yeah, I would maybe if you're updating the drawings, maybe something with, especially on like the semi, to scale,
Sure,
putting one
yes.
in there to kind of give it, I mean, your engineers will check it out, but being able to apply that scale to help us understand like the difference between the semi truck size
And
and
the
the
building
road size.
And the road size.
Yeah, and the building sizes, the gates, that type of thing.
Kelsey,
I
that was
can't draw a
something
little
that-
truck in my head.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember seeing on Precision, their details actually had the semi truck and the radius and all of that showed the turn, so it actually showed how it would turn, like that it truly would have enough space to do the turn.
Now, was it its own separate exhibit, or was it part of a?
It was on an exhibit.
On an exhibit?
Yeah.
That can also be helpful for the fire department.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking, is that,
Yes.
for them to be able to turn around and get to the back of the, I guess the west side of the development.
I guess I'd be interested in what they would have to say, because based on the way you've kind of got it laid out, if anything happens and it happens at that gate, you have essentially closed off the exit point for
Yes.
anybody that's in your warehousing. So I mean, I'd like to see some forethought on, I know we have it in like neighborhoods where it's not necessarily an official exit, but it is more of an emergency exit.
Yeah.
Where if a fire truck needs to break over some sort of barrier or knock it down, they've got an input or an in lane. Just because if something were to happen with a box truck, a trailer, anything at that gate, they have no real way to service anything in the warehousing area. If something were to happen back
I
there.
do need to check that and confirm, but the end of the parking lot on the west, there is a break above 15 going into 41. And so here, you'll see that here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree, because right now it shows that there's a dumpster there.
Yeah.
But here's the break, sorry, not where the dumpster is. And so if anyone's looking kind of above 15, there is this break here where there would be a fence currently. But at the same time, we can definitely take a look and confirm that. But that would go right into behind the gate type of thing, where right now it would be fenced off, but if something happened, you could go through that fence or take it down.
I mean, if you could just
because
add
those
more
are
detail around that,
Yeah.
so we could see it, especially for the fire department, they'd be able to see that as well. I had another one.
So it says proposed concrete flume, and it says a flume is an artificial channel or chute often made of concrete that channels and controls water flow for purposes of drainage, irrigation, and measuring flow. So that doesn't look like it's attaching to that parking lot. That looks like it's for drainage purposes.
Sure.
So I would make sure that if you decide to widen that and make it a, where you have some pylons or, again, something to connect to the back would be.
Okay. I think other zoning members have covered kind of the missing items around like architectural examples, the renderings, parking write-up, landscaping signs. I know kind of along that north area, you mentioned the electricity lines that run overhead. And part of it's difficult to see because you don't have a lot of the drawings of the existing site. But I believe part of this is the existing outdoor storage area that is operated by Hills.
Yes.
With outdoor storage, there's
Currently.
dirt mounds and things.
Well, no, I want to say underneath their power lines, I can find the right picture. To the north of the property, they run an outdoor storage area.
Sure, okay,
And
yeah.
I believe that part of your development is going to take that over.
Part of that parcel, yeah, I think. And this is
I'd like to understand
this is
what's
from
going to happen
Berlin.
to the rest of it.
Berlin Township's image.
Yeah, I'd like to understand what's going to happen. Like, are they going to continue the remaining part of that? Just from a standpoint of, if you're going to go through there, what is that plan for that remaining?
For their section of
Yeah,
outdoor
is
storage.
that just going to go away? I mean, obviously you can't design what they're going to do on it, but just an understanding of what the expectation is around that. You're taking over part of that area, but not the entire.
Okay.
So if they're gonna, just, I guess, reduce their outdoor storage, I'd like to know it. If they're gonna do away with it, I'd like to know that too.
Okay.
You mentioned two divergences in one of your texts. I don't know if it's in the current one, but it was in the one we got last week. And I think it had to do with the distance on the south.
Yes.
I want to just kind of forewarn you that in that it's technically not a divergence, I think, because it says or is approved by plan.
Okay.
So we don't really like, it's just a kind of a formality, because if it's by your plan, that's not really a divergence, so you don't have to request it.
Okay.
So most people tend to look differently on divergences versus meeting plan. And I think that had to do with like what you're calling maybe the side yard or the rear yard. The other one, you talked about a parking within 5 feet of the property limit. Is that just this little parking lot to the northwest?
That's correct.
Is that the only real place you're approaching that?
Yes.
Okay. So, and that's what I thought looking at the drawing, but I just wanted to kind of confirm. Just from the standpoint of it's not really the entire length of that north property line, it's really just kind of that northwest back corner.
That's right.
And then I guess I did have questions on that little northwest parking area. Because it's behind the fence line, it wouldn't really be associated to the storefronts.
That's
kind
correct.
of the glass storefronts. That might be more parking for the folks that are working back in the warehousing area.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay. I wanted to clarify because I just wasn't sure what was happening there. You talked about the uses, and you're okay with the ones that you've given as examples being kind of more locked in.
Yes.
Can you speak to how you control that? Because you'll obviously have a property manager, and it's going to be a two-parter. How do you control that use so that a year from now you don't have a tenant that's not doing one of the uses you've approved for, and we're trying to notify you of that? And then also one that comes up a lot, and because you have that kind of back parking area, how you deal with parking of vehicles that are not really being used or are large vehicles that really shouldn't be there.
Yeah, most of those are controlled and helped with our on-site manager who's there every day, or Monday through Friday rather, kind of working hours. Our leases stipulate those things, and then we also have, obviously corporate can get involved from Indianapolis coming over. But each of those I think really helps those to control that and not to see it, especially a vehicle sitting out there that has been there too long or doesn't need to be there. Because yeah, that doesn't help us either. So. Okay.
All right. I was hoping that was it. I just wanted more for clarification on some of these. In the regional planning, they mentioned something about vacating an existing plat.
Yes.
And just wanted to make sure that that's being addressed.
It's on our radar. Yeah, we're
Okay.
going to go.
Parking. In sheet C4 is one of them, and it mentions it kind of talks about phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 2 is that property to your south. You kind of hinted at it earlier that what you're showing us is kind of phase 1. You may be working on something to access or procure that southern property.
That's right.
But that's not something that's any.
That wouldn't be included in this.
Okay.
Because we would just have this plan approved as is. That's something we looked at. Will it be, will we have it ready in time, or will we be far enough along? And the answer was no. We will not be far enough along to include it in this. It's more for our knowledge, or hey, does this make sense? Does the buffering, does it need to be as much if we're going to include that in phase 2? But I think this plan needs to stand alone. And so to your questions and points, okay. Well,
is it safe to assume that it's a phase 1, everything's built at one time?
this plan, yes.
Okay. And about the timing, how long do you think? Assuming you get approval.
Yeah, right. 12 to 14 months is generally, we like to do it closer to 12, and this site's has 8 buildings, and we think that's achievable, but this is, you never know. So, but yeah, 12 to 14 months from kind of breaking ground.
Now, in your landscaping towards the back of your big drawing set, you've got kind of an L1 through L6 that do a pretty good job of explaining it. It's maybe not necessarily in the development. Do a pretty good job. I liked what you had from a landscaping perspective. You do have some information in there. You've got some no-mow areas, but you've kind of got your plan laid out in L5 on how you're going to manage that. What I did look at, though, is you do have the landscaping, but I think Tara kind of hinted at it. You're talking about your storefronts, and your fronts are facing north, but it's not really the road frontage. Mm-hmm. So, your site frontage is really pointing to another site.
Yeah.
Your road frontage is really kind of the sides of those warehouses. And I'd like to see some thought given to, I understand you have the landscaping, but because it's primarily deciduous, it's not always gonna cover. So trying to add some, it doesn't have to be working detail, but some kind of faux architectural detail on the sides of those warehouses, so it's not just going to be like flat blank metal all along the roadway. To try to dress up that side of it. I mean, obviously it doesn't have to be necessarily like glass windows, because that's not very safe for your warehousing folks, because somebody could access those, but something to try to dress that up from an architectural perspective, just because that is really, when I look at it, that's your road frontage, more so than your glass frontage.
Sure.
And it's just the way you're orienting. So anything you can do to try to dress that up a little bit and make it less of just solid metal walls. And then I also had, you mentioned your leases. Your use hours is primarily business hours, is what you kind of hinted at?
Primarily, we are open or available for someone to come in 24/7, but you see the majority probably between 7 to 7 or something like that. Maybe a little earlier, 6 to 8, if you go outside.
And then I had my last question, and I'm surprised I only one that got to it, was how do you deal with mail? Because you don't show any CBUs or anything like that. So is all the mail through the primary office space?
Most of the mail is, unless we do have any of the FedEx or box trucks, they can go back and they have fobs that'll go through the gated entrance and can deliver that to the individual warehouses.
But I mean, but from like even just a postal.
Yeah, that is up front in those office spaces.
Okay, so they would deliver there, so you won't have it outside. Like when we do neighborhoods, it's always a big issue to have that outside centralized mail unit.
Yeah,
you have to have parking for it and all these other. But if it's within your office, your central office, then you wouldn't have an outdoor unit that we have to worry about how much parking is available to it and those types of things, and what kind of spacing and protection. So
yeah, normally it's.
Do the individual warehouses have mailboxes?
Yeah, there would be exactly.
Just like if a lesser is not there, you would be able to, like a UPS or whoever would be able to leave a package at that.
Yes. Have a full mail room or yeah.
Anything else? How about you guys?
I did one more. I know you have mentioned the high voltage lines, and that's kind of why there wasn't any bordering landscaping on the north side. But I believe it said in regional planning's comments that you're able to put landscaping in roads and things like that. So I think with that being a vehicular use area, like even though the property to the north is similar, you have light shining that way, you have, so just making sure that there's some sort of buffer. And I think Darcy mentioned the Greenville, but just being in, looking at our landscaping, if it's any property in any zone is adjacent to a vehicular use area, which is those parking spots up front, there's some minimum requirements for that.
Okay, and more bushes obviously than trees because we're below that.
And kind of thinking too, I've looked at, and I see there's a lot of lower evergreens in between the building and the parking lot spaces. But just thinking about like, if you're pulling in at this time at night for somebody who does salon service and then cars are pulling in and shining their lights right into the glass storefronts, just making sure that those are, there's some sort of blockage and.
From a staff perspective, I will say that this has been a really great responsive applicant. I know that there were last minute additions, but I would like to say that the original application was turned in on October 1st, which was right in the midst of that very beginning of the transition that we were getting. a lot of different applications and trying to get those online. And I do want to be sure to announce that as well. So they have been a great applicant to work with from a staff perspective. And I think that there's much that, we're still getting our bearings and we're still working through getting that process. But I did want to be sure to say that to the commission.
Thank you.
I think we knew there were some things missing, didn't know that initially, and obviously missed a few points. So yeah, thank you for saying that, and was trying to get some feedback even before submission, but unfortunately some people were no longer with staff, and so I know that's probably hard for everyone, and so I understand that too, and appreciate all the feedback too tonight to kind of come back and make sure we've got a better application.
Have it like redone in a binder form, because it's like with the adjacent property, it was like randomly mixed in with the wetlands and the, it just was kind of like here's a file folder, and there was no rhyme or reason, so we can't, usually we're presented with a binder where they say,
Okay.
here's, section 1 includes the, development text, section 2 is the site plan, section 3 is the landscaping plan. So it's easy to flip back and forth, but,
Okay.
Having to dig through a bunch of different papers and, having, changes in the development text just tonight, I went through and I tried to highlight what was different from what I had received. It's easier to have it all in one place, and like she said, the 11 by 17 is perfect just to unfold and pull out in a binder. Then it's lovely. They're lovely. I'm just not in the chair, I can't read.
Don't need them.
Or would it also, given that there have been a few iterations of the application, when the new materials are submitted, would it be helpful if, it said submitted on the date that the information's resubmitted, so that way, you can at least be sure I'm looking at the application that was submitted 2 weeks from now, as opposed to the application that was, the materials today. Would that be helpful?
And I think sometimes applicants will highlight, like if there was a change from the previous text, so it kind of points it out to us that here, this is what we changed in it. For example, that development text being different from Friday to today.
So when you come back, having individual binders for us that, that have everything all together in it. Hopefully not just, and obviously some things can change at the very last minute, and there are developers that come in and give us, a little packet of what they're going to be presenting, but making sure that as much of that detail as possible is what's handed in for us to be distributed to us, so we have time to review it.
Okay.
So that way the meeting can be as productive as possible for you.
And I think Kelsey was giving you some examples of previous.
Yes.
In terms of next steps, since the application has been open, the hearing's been opened, I think the board may want to continue the application. I know before we went on the record, there was discussion about your upcoming meetings with the holidays and whatnot. So I'll turn it over to you guys in terms of possible dates.
Right. So we want to leave that to our applicant to tell us what they would like to do. I think you've heard that, we'd like to see some more detail on all those things, and you sound like you're in agreement with that. What kind of timeline are you envisioning?
Yeah, I think we may need, because you'll need enough time to review beforehand.
We'd
so
like to
maybe,
have a couple weeks.
Maybe help me
Yeah.
understand, if something was something's presented to you so many weeks before, you need 2 weeks or something. And so if we backtrack and give, us 3 weeks or something like that.
Sure.
I think that puts us, I don't know if we can get before middle of December or something like that. That might be doable, but I don't know when the next meeting is either. Otherwise, we'll have to look to beginning of January.
I'm thinking, given what you've said, it sounds like our next meeting that we could get this in is December 9th.
Mm-hmm.
And that would hopefully have materials to us by the 25th of November.
So 2 weeks.
Yeah, so.
Is that doable though for you to have?
Yeah, I'm not
just
sure if it is, and
Okay.
so that's part of, and then so the after December 9th would be January, or do you have
23rd.
the 23rd? Or will
There's
you?
no meeting on the
Organizational
23rd.
meeting. No, I don't think so.
Maybe the second Tuesday in January.
So, yeah, I think the 9th is our organizational meeting.
So is it the 13th? It's
13th.
January 13th.
Okay. Well, I can push our team to target getting you stuff within 2 weeks and go for the 9th, if that is doable.
Is that our organizational meeting? I'm pretty sure.
The 9th is the organizational meeting, yes.
Yeah, I think that would serve your purposes the best if you,
Mhm.
if it can happen.
Thank you.
Right, so, with your permission, should we make a motion to continue this hearing to a date and time certain? That would be December 9th at 7 PM here.
Okay.
Should that not be tenable, if your team
Mhm.
says, oh my gosh, no, that can't happen, I'm sure you and Kelsey can talk.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds
So,
great.
okay. So I will make that motion. So we continue this to December 9th, 7 PM here at Township Hall. Second?
Second.
Ms. Cameron,
Yes.
who seconded that? Tara?
It was a
She
tie.
beat me.
Ms. Shields,
Yes.
Mr. Christopher,
Yes.
Ms. Sus,
Yes.
and, Ms. Brown.
Yes.
Thank
So we will see you then.
Okay.
Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Thank you for listening to us.
Yeah, thank you for
Appreciate
taking
that.
the time.
Drive from India.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So as of right now, we don't think we have anything on the agenda for the 25th.
No, because it was already on the calendar.
Oh, did we already take it off?
Yeah, I think during the organizational meeting last year, we had taken it off.
Yeah, it's always just one in December.
Oh, no, in,
Oh,
the week of Thanksgiving.
oh, we took it off?
I'm pretty sure we took it off.
I am trying to find the minutes from the organizational meeting.
I think we had this conversation.
You did, right?
Because you came over and grabbed a book. And I can't remember the hour.
Oh, yeah, we had minutes.
Because the book had that we did have a meeting scheduled,
First day.
that we kept this one scheduled
Yes,
and said we would cancel it if we needed to cancel it.
yeah. Well, we would have to go back to last year, right?
It was last December.
Yeah, we did this all the time.
Well, the chief and Brett.
Dates 25. Second and fourth Tuesdays each month except December.
Oh, so
Usually they put out the dates.
Yeah, we
though.
usually
It's
put
on
out
the
all the
agenda.
dates.
Somebody have our township thing up.
I think we discussed just keeping it on there and then canceling if we needed, just like that inside, or November.
this actually says end of year meeting, this is for the trustees though. Okay, the December 22nd, okay, where is?
The website says
set meeting date, second and fourth Tuesday, and then it breaks it down. Says, 11/12, and then it actually says Wednesday, discuss, and then it does say 11/26.
That's not right, though.
That's not right. And 12/9. So that's incorrect anyway, but it did have that second meeting in November on our minutes.
We don't have anything right now.
No, we don't.
Correct?
So, we could cancel the meeting, or we could use it to discuss our language that we've been talking about, our red line, but I think people would probably like to have holiday week free. Speaking for myself, so what do you all think? Speaking.
I think cancel it, and maybe each of us can try to take a look at the red line text during that time.
Yeah, use your vacation wisely.
Yeah. Try to get the red line text.
Okay. Do we need to make a motion to cancel everything, or we just discuss amongst ourselves?
If you wanna make a motion, that'd be
Can't hurt
fine,
anything,
because
should
that
we?
way it's clear.
Did they post that on the Facebook page?
Well, I will make a motion then that we do not have our November 25th, VZC meeting, 2025.
I'll second it.
So you're canceling it?
Yeah.
Is it the word? Okay. Ms. Kaplan?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. D. Christopher?
Yes.
And, oh my gosh, Ms. Kaplan, or Ms. Kaplan?
Me.
Or Ms. Schill? It's gonna take me a whole year to get used to this new situation. Marcy has to go back in the middle.
I know.
Just move your plate down. You don't have to sit, you don't have to sit where they put your plate. You should be in the middle.
Somebody's rearranged us.
I know.
I thought it
You
was
guys
a-
can sit wherever you want. They
I
just
think it
put
was
it down.
like
It's just someone that, hasn't worked here very long. You can go back to the old ways. They don't know how
We'll
things
go
are
back
set
to
up.
Okay. We'll go back to the old way.
I would like that.
It was confusing us too.
How was it arranged anyway?
I don't know.
What comes up with the
Well,
order?
first, last
I was
time,
over there.
last time we went Darcy, me, and then we went down. But I don't know.
What is this seating arrangement? Because
Oh, was this you? Is that you?
this was unfortunately my work, and I already heard. And we gotta know, just because I had the materials printed, our zoning secretary printed everything, but then she said, but then there weren't enough packets for everybody, and I'm like, why are there not enough packets? And she said, well, they have their own packets. I'm like, well, where is all this stuff coming from? So
This is
it was, yeah, and so typically, do you
It's
bring your own
Jasper,
when you pick up,
me.
and so nothing should be set for you, or how does that normally work?
Yeah.
The holidays
Yeah.
would be up a
It's
little
just
bit.
the agenda, that's usually.
That's usually it.
Or any supplemental that we shouldn't be.
But they usually, like, if they bring it, then, but
Then
you
that's-
should
But they
be
did,
having
they
it,
did email additional things, so anything that was emailed
Yeah,
after we had picked up our packets should be passed out.
Should be
to
passed
us.
out.
okay.
Yeah,
So
sometimes
I think
letters-
Cindy printed some, but not a lot, and so I'm like, oh, well, all these need to go on the place settings, and I was like, there's not enough copies for the place settings, so, and so I'm still, because of the holiday, I had to sit up
You're
yesterday
fine,
after
honestly.
that, and so,
I just even picked
Now
up
we're good.
everything of mine like yesterday, so like,
Yeah.
I probably took everything she had printed yesterday.
But it was different from Friday than what you
Yes.
did today.
right, and that was the other bombshell.
Yeah.
Then you brought the new stuff in.
But it's usually just the agenda, we bring our stuff with us that we've made notes on. Any supplemental that like the developer brings or the applicant brings.
Or anything we don't.
Sometimes we
Yeah,
have
or anything
letters
that-
to be read into the record.
Yeah, so like fire department,
Yeah.
things of that nature that we would get at the last minute, those would get printed for us.
Got it. Well, that makes a lot more sense. Cindy knows these things, but then Cindy didn't work today, so
Well, she's
I was
pretty
like-
new too.
Yeah, no, and she knows that, but apparently I did not ask the proper questions of what needs to be set up. So I was making copies and all the things. So, but now and to know the organization too, like the knowing that in the packets that were put together, like the labels were in the middle of everything, and that just doesn't make any sense either, so.
And it's like, there were a lot of, just like emails stating that stuff was coming, but then still had the stuff that came. Just letting applicants know that, if they have received the email that they were supposed to receive, or the letter that they were supposed to receive, we don't need the email that said it's gonna be received. Cause it throws us for a loop, cause that's like with a sanitary, I'm looking at it, it says, I could give you a letter, but I'm not going to yet until this happens.
Right.
And then they provide.
And then we get the letter, but now we still have this email.
Yeah.
Right, so just keeping up on the application as it goes live, okay, now we don't need to add this, now we can supplement this, so.
And tell her the seating arrangement.
Yes, and tell me that seating arrangement, because I swore that Jasper was on the edge at one time.
Jasper, then me.
Okay.
Then Darcy.
Then Darcy's in the middle,
Daddy's in the
Jenny, and then
Jenny's
up on the end.
We have a sign
Why does it go in that order?
I don't even know.
Darcy's in the middle because she's in charge, but like.
Part of me was like, I should
And
have.
technically, Annie should be
sure.
sure. You have to
Yeah.
understand her right here.
Simply, please, set them on the table.
Technically,
That's
yeah.
all.
Then
it's
Jenny
all
should be at the end,
recoverable.
but you can mix it up however you want. But Darcy should probably be in the middle.
As long as my you touch the floor.
I thought it was some kind of a test.
And then.
Yeah.
Do we want to discuss and establish a hard
Yes.
set timeline
Yes.
for applicants and
It would
making
be
sure they
really
have
nice.
everything before we set the hearing date?
Yes, and I made I have updated the application for preliminary, for the zoning text amendments. I need to do it for the others, but actually, after reading through the application, I think that we can do more in terms of making it sound more like a development plan. In the submission requirements, it says nothing about submitted development text. It just says landscape detail. It doesn't say a fully fleshed out development text is required in the submission requirements. And I'm like, that definitely should be updated. Yeah, so, and I can understand from
See,
reading.
it says development features including landscaping, entrance features, signage, pathways, sidewalks, recreational facilities, cluster mailboxes, and all commonly owned structures shall be shown in detail in a way that identifies the quantity, type, and typical section of each. That's part of the development plan.
But I guess when I'm thinking that, it'd be like, I guess it goes back to, and Angela, thank you so much for your email, because I think what I was confused about was, is it format or content? And it seemed like it was more content that was missing. Format was okay, as long as it's referring back to exhibits, as what Julie and I were talking about over here. But I guess when I'm reading, if I were reading that as an applicant, it's still, like, that is in detail for a prelim, but I also like seeing development text, so then I'm like, oh, okay, you want it all out there.
All out.
Yeah,
Because RPC said that in their comments.
Yeah,
they did. And that's what made
It
them
said
straight to
as
action.
required, and then none of us could find where it's actually required.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't, which I would have sworn that it does say that.
Well, it
Well, I
does.
was, you
It
can argue
does,
that
but
it
it
does.
doesn't
By
say
virtue of
where
it being a
it
planned
goes.
district, it has to have development text. Just
Mhm.
like, it's just the nature of.
You would think, but it
But it didn't.
isn't called out that way. Anyway, the other thing, we were talking about things on the table, as we proceed and have things in advance, they used to leave, like, if the materials for our next meeting would be with our stuff too. Because it really is helpful, number one, to have it here, we don't have to make another trip to pick it up or have somebody deliver it to us or go to the mailbox. But ultimately, in a perfect world, we would have those materials,
2 weeks in
you know,
advance.
when we have our meeting for the next meeting.
And would you want those kind of like up here waiting for you, or would you want that at your table
They
setting?
usually just stick
It's
these
usually
in.
at our tables.
Okay.
That way we don't forget it. In a perfect world, doesn't happen very often. It's helpful, really helpful.
We're gonna make these dreams come true, guys.
I like it.
I'm gonna assure you. Okay, Lisa's been helping me with the zoning secretary checklist, so that is not included on there, so I'll be sure to add that too.
And it's hard because we had people that had been here for many, many years, and so it was just such a rhythm, so.
I
we
know,
understand
well,
that
that's
there's
why
a
we're
learning
glad
curve, too.
Yeah, again, I feel like I'm a broken record saying how much I appreciate your patience, and it'll get better next time, and then we're still, you know,
It's okay.
clunky. But
Takes
It's
time.
alright, it takes time.
I mean, really appreciate it, because I was beating myself up coming here and being like, no, well, you know, I feel like, you know, we're gonna get it, but I was beating myself up all day today, like, man,
Stop it.
No,
Yeah.
it's okay.
but,
Well,
I can
and you're
understand
always
frustrating.
beholden to the applicant. Because we'll say, well, we want it 2 weeks in advance,
That's
and they'll tell you, oh yeah, it's coming.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then when
it's-
they miss their deadline,
Yeah.
the meeting's scheduled and we're showing up,
Should
and they're
we,
showing up,
can we
so.
agree that if it is, the materials are not provided by the date that we require, that we will not hold the hearing?
So what is
I don't think we can do
a
that.
pretty common practice, and maybe, you know, as you conclude this year and move into the new year, turning over some new practices, it is not uncommon for, it's not just getting your materials in, it's, you need to have a completed application.
Yeah.
And so that's not a matter of getting Kelsey, if you know, December 1 is the deadline for submitting materials, that's not getting her the first crack of the application December 1. That's, if December 1 comes, and I mean, there's no more back and forth, it's pencils down, and if you don't have it complete, then you're not getting on January's meeting.
And that's not them emailing everything to you, that's them dropping the binders off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no, they say, can you print all this stuff off for us? That's them dropping the binders off.
Mm-hmm.
Does that
So-
permit enough time though, in that scenario, to give public notice appropriately?
So then, and again, I'm using dates very generally, but once that completed application that's submitted by your deadline, that's the version that needs to go to RPC. Frankly, the fact that RPC didn't get an opportunity to review the development plan text, that is a detriment to you folks, because, you know, they might have had some additional insight and additional review that you're just not gonna get right now. In terms of the notice, especially with the law change, it's, you know, it's nothing for the township to put on the website and, application, or I'm sorry, Facebook page.
That's a good point, Julie. When they do turn in that development text, I can send it through RPC staff to get a look over to, I know that's not the full board, which is nice to have that dialogue, but we can definitely send that through
Right.
staff to get, because they do, I just met with them on Friday and they're like, we really do enjoy being part of these processes and reviewing these kinds of things. So anything that you want us to look over. So they've extended that courtesy, which is nice.
Because I feel like for me tonight, felt like either one, an informal, or two, part one of a two-step process.
Yeah.
Because we're tabling, or we're continuing the hearing. So, you know, I just think that hard stop of like, this is when the application's due and all the materials are due on X day, whether it's 10 days before, 14 days before, whatever we decide, you know, and then if that's not available to us or we're getting more things, then
They go to the next one. I mean, that's just,
Yeah.
it, instead of trying to play catch up or instead of, you know, everything else, it's just start it at the ground level, start it at the submission level. Because it's not, I mean, there's so many balls in the air and there's so many, you know, timelines and you know, to make sure the applicant gets, they want things to be done timely, and there's something to be said about making sure that, you know, putting their best foot forward and a complete application, makes the process go smoother for everybody.
Now, Julie, would we have to change the code, or would that just be a simple thing on the application that we could just add in?
So, that is something on the application, that's something that's part of like your organizational meet, or it's just a department regulation of basically, you know, here's the schedule, you know, here's when the, you know, the commission meets for 2026, and here is our application, these are our application deadlines, period. Completed
So
out.
that's like, when I worked with like Hilliard and other places, like in order to get on the docket, you know, this is when it has to be submitted by, or otherwise.
We are not chasing you to get updated, you know,
Yes.
it is, that's exactly it, it's, you're not gonna get scheduled until you know it's complete.
And I think especially now that we're a one-step, this would just be a very big deal.
So, and I know that you're still learning everything. Is there a reason why they're not pulling down from the cloud?
I haven't had those conversations. There was no prior, from my understanding there was no prior conversations with anybody from staff weighing any options. Is this something that we should need to be promoting more, you think, at a staff level when we're getting these rezonings?
Yeah, I mean, because this really could fit.
In PCO.
Yeah. So,
Would the setbacks work on that though? I think the cloud has some pretty big setbacks.
well,
For VIO it does, but BCO,
yeah, but BCO it doesn't.
is looking for mixed use. Like, it's
Yeah.
looking for this type of, like, it's the R4, R10 for these mixed use.
Yeah,
Well, and the big setbacks are to residential that are existing,
exactly,
which
there's
they would
not. Well, it'll back up against, but that's commercial residential over there, that's annexed.
Yeah, see, I'm trying
Well,
to
but
think
even
back to
that,
the one annex.
And they're apartments.
Even that though, like the
Yeah.
the 250 is only to existing residential at the adoption of the overlays.
Okay, so straight residential.
Yeah, so
Yeah, so
anything
that-
after
so
that
it
is
is
not considered part of
Adjacent
it.
Yeah.
zoning and adjacent uses, so it's PCD.
So it's not
Yeah.
The minimum side and rear setbacks shall equal 1/3 the sum of the height and depth of the structure. So like for this, 1/3 of the height of it is not a setback.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't
You
think
said
that.
1/3 of the height is what, I'm sorry?
Height and depth of the structure. But in no case shall building or parking be constructed within 250 feet of the lot line of an existing parcel utilized for residential purposes at the time of this adoption of this overlay. And as identified and defined this by the list in appendix A of this resolution.
So you're saying this would not work with that?
Residential or just regular?
I think it's just, I'm guessing it would be just residential, because this is, you know,
And there
obviously.
isn't any, right?
Interesting.
They probably have no idea.
I think that they, yeah, and again, it's because we just have a bunch of turnover, so. But yeah, I mean, that's a great conversation that you could have with them about looking at the cloud and the fact that it's BCO and it's a mixed use area, so it could actually really simplify things for them.
Do you have an architectural review board for?
Yes.
Okay, okay. And that they have not been utilized.
They have not,
But in this application, that would add another layer
it
to
would,
delay. Well, depending on what
yeah.
Not necessarily delay, but I feel like, again, it's that, kind of that quote unquote informal, like where they can get some of these, you know, the lighting, the
Yes.
building design and those things answered
Yeah.
before they come to us.
Yeah.
True. All right, so do we have any other business before our board? I don't think we do. Anything from you ladies? All right, well,
Just one more question too. So the only thing, like, once we shore up, like, getting them to get everything in before they go on to get a hearing date. So the only thing that we should really expect them to have to wait on is getting the feedback from regional planning then, right? I mean, they can't control that, absolutely. So that's really the only thing that we should have to wait on sometimes.
Yep.
Okay.
Sometimes the fire, well, it is not uncommon for an application to be submitted and you don't have fire.
Exactly.
You don't have the fire letter, you might not have the sewer letter, but those things that are, I mean, those are so minor, or those are things that, you know.
Easily
Not a
looked at
completed
and
site
say,
plan, you know,
yeah,
that sort of thing.
Okay.
But in general, yeah, absolutely.
And we're used to not having the fire letter back until like the day before the meeting.
Yeah,
So, then Kathy would always print that out for us, Lisa can do that now and just have it for us on the tables. That's totally fine.
well, have a good Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Shall we adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, When we came in and all this was sitting here,
I know.
Oh.
It's like, oh my God.
And I was like, oh, I'm gonna get there early, and I had an event, and I was like, I could not leave that event, and I was like, I'm gonna be there right on time, and everybody